Expectation can affect the way we view and enjoy things in life. It can either ruin or enhance the perception you will have of it. It's something that is built over time, or lost in some cases. It can go either way. And I don't think you can completely get rid of it, even if it's something you experience for the first time. I mean, even here when you click on that video, you add some. Might not be much, but it's there. Usually, the bigger you get, the more will be expected. The next film in a regarded movie franchise, your favorite band coming up with a new LP, or a restaurant you heard so much about. It encompasses everything, and we often judge things on how well or poorly they do in regards of expectation. But often, once you get popular, like really popular, there's only one outcome possible, which is disappointment. Why am I telling you this? Well, the story between me and this game is pretty much about that. When I picked up that game, I basically had none. Well, not much. I was going through the classic Steam guild phase, like, hey, remember all these games you bought and never played? Well, maybe now would be a good time. Apparently, I played it for 20 minutes, then the game sat in my game library for a long time, like a year or two. But then, in April of 2019, I finally picked it up. And even there, I didn't want to play that one. I actually wanted to play Zero Drifter, and I got both mixed up. But in the end, I played it. And I liked it. To this day, I spent more than 200 hours on the game. Today, we're thinking about Environmental Station Alpha. ESA is an indie Metroidvania that came out in 2015, developed by Harvey Tai Carey, I think I got this one right, also known as Hempuli. The game focuses on two aspects, exploration and combat, especially with the bosses. There's a lot of those. The game starts with a short intro, explaining you the story. A station made to preserve unique species and natural environment was abandoned decades ago. Nobody exactly knows why that happened because there were no survivors to tell the tale. However, a signal has been received lately from the station. The investigation will be dangerous, and to avoid casualties, they send a nameless robot for the mission. You. Your character has a narrow set of skills at the beginning. He can jump, shoot, and interact with different objects like terminals. The people that sent you explain that your first task is to put the generators back online. You quickly find a computer to do so, but once the power is on, you see that you're not welcome on the station. It's a formula you see often in the game. An obstacle is blocking your path, find a terminal to either activate or deactivate something. You can now make progress, but it may backfire later on. Exploring a bit further, the game will tease you with what you will soon discover is a health upgrade. After a short encounter with Mama Bug, you gain your first ability, the double jump, or the jump booster in that case. As you can imagine, upgrades are a key part of the gameplay. You will need to gather them in order to make progress. The jump and the hook will help you to reach higher places, the dashes and the charge shot will break blocks on your way, the heat suit will allow you to access more hostile areas, and so on. Quickly in the game, you find yourself stumbling against the volcanic sector, with its bright orange pixelated lava. That's something I like about this game. The graphics are simple but effective. You know the saying that sometimes less is more? Well, I think it applies perfectly to this game. Everything that the game wants to convey is perfectly represented. The volcanic area is bright and colorful, the cavern and the temple are dark and menacing, and the forest is dense and luxurious. I'm a huge fan of pixel art. Either it is by choice or because my computer is the equivalent of an old potato. Going through the volcanic sector, you will encounter scrapping unit, which is what you can consider your first real boss fight, having the first two more an introduction than anything else. It's the first one who have more than one form, with different pattern and attack for each. At first, you have to avoid his projectiles and shoot his head. Then, in his second form, you need to destroy his weak point placed at each end of the room, multiple times. You can consider that the gold standard at this point. In each sectors, one or more bosses are scattered, going from pretty basic to complex and challenging. Don't let the simple design fool you. I mean, you will die in this game. Some of these guys are vicious, really. Spikes and missiles coming from everywhere. But all of them are fair, and once you study their pattern, with a bit of patience and goodwill, you're gonna make it. There's no cutscene in the game. The story and information you need to know in order to make progress are dictated to you via logs from the people who once lived on the station. This one explains us that the robots have gone on a murderous rampage, and that some of the scientists in the underwater sector are trying to figure out a way to stop the slaughter. The map is now updated with your next objective. This will happen for majority of the game. Some people may dislike it, but I think it's a good compromise. It's well integrated into the story, and it's one thing to know where to go, but the interesting part is really to find out how to get there. Another marker can be added on your map from this area. A key card is laying around not too far. You need it to be able to use the blue teleporters across the station. At this point, the game gets a bit more puzzling. To get to the underwater sector, you need to let yourself sink into a quicksand. And a bit later, you have to flip switches in order to make progress. In every area, the game teaches you a bit more about what could be expected of you and how you should approach things further on. A good example are these green blocks here. You know you have to make one appear to make progress, but you can't get to the switch. If you look closely though, you see a hole on the left side. You actually need to break a false block in another room in order to access this one. Yet again, it's the journey that counts and not the destination. A little bit further, the game pulls the same trick and teases you with an item. If you try to force your way by shooting walls, the game lets you think that you may have found a way. But to get there, you actually need to hook yourself from a cliff on the left side. Those are examples of the clever way things are presented to you in a game. Like a magician, it's asking you to look closely at one place while the trick is happening somewhere else. A lot of people will miss it and only collect that upgrade once they have more abilities. I know I did when I played it. After the water and the forest sector, you arrive to the temple, which is a really intriguing place. It's the first thing you're seeing on the station that is not man-made, or well at least human-made. Statues are laying around and some figures keep floating away from you. They don't seem hostile though, they just quickly vanish. Rooms are dark and filled with booby traps and enemies. It's one of the first places where I really felt unwelcome, like I was not supposed to be there. Ambience is one thing that this game nailed perfectly. There is an aura of mystery surrounding the station, and you actually want to know like what the fuck happened here. Often I played games where the world building was shallow and uninteresting. But here you actually want to get out of your way to find secrets, and there's a lot of those. The music really helped for that as well. I could listen to the soundtrack of this game at any time. It never gets boring or too intrusive. The mix is just perfect. I mean, listen to this. Another thing that the game nails is control. You feel in control in this game. All the items are an absolute pleasure to use, especially the hook. And the game knows, because it's gonna ask a lot from it. Only with a few options, ESA is able to create challenging and interesting rooms. There are some tough sections in here. Some segments took me over 20 minutes for the first time, and I enjoyed every one of them. Well, most. Anyway, my point is exploration and combat might be in the front, but platforming is not far behind. While you make your way around the station, in addition to the abilities, you can collect floppy disk and health upgrades. For the floppies, a disk reader is hidden in the cavern. It will show you artwork of all the sectors, but it might give you something else as well. Now that we covered the basics, let's get into the story a bit. There's not much to spoil in terms of the main one, it's pretty straightforward. Doesn't mean it's not interesting though. But I would say where the game really shines, it's in its world building. I never got tired to read all these terminals. The game feeds you little bits here and there while you're making progress. You slowly figure out what was life and what happened to the scientists who went through these events. Some are important to the story and make the plot progress, while some others are more innocuous, like this poor guy who lost his Walkman. You can actually find it by using an exploit with a hook. So we already know that the robots went nuts and bolts, but why? Apparently, a computer virus is the cause of their frantic behavior. We also learned that the virus is capable of transferring itself from machine to machine. Now we infected everything, even the station AI. Having control over the station, the virus has spread chaos and terror. Hence the reason why no ship has been able to leave. Not all the scientists died because of the robots though. Some of them formed small units and tried to regain control over the station. But all their efforts were in vain. This is where you came in. Once you put the generators back online and kill the first Guardian, the virus quickly blocked the access to the AI mainframe. The station is in a bad shape when you arrive. The volcanic sector is overheating, the underwater one is flawed, and most of the vital organs of the stations are shut down. With the incident and the recent earthquake, navigating the station will be difficult. In the first few sectors, you learn and gather information more than anything else. It's after going through the forest that things get in motion, by activating the main generator, in order to have access to the temple. Unfortunately, doing so activates all the robots and electronics on the station, but it is necessary. A path still connects the temple and the AI control room. Once in there, the AI attack you on sight. It's not the most impressive boss fight, but the interesting part is when the boss gets midlife and he pulls a Scooby-Doo on you, and you can finally see the virus. At this point, you learn that the virus comes from a derelict ship orbiting outside the station. You get a password and make your way there. Before entering the teleporter, you can see the virus watching you. I think it's a neat little detail. The ship is in a worse state than the station. Everything seems rotten and in a state of decay. Here, you'll be welcomed by laser tiles and a big bunch of enemies. In the front of the ship, you learn more about the virus. It seems this thing is really well coded. It acts like a living organism, a little bit like me, trying to ensure its own existence by infecting other machines and sucking up their energy. You also learn how you could bring it down, or at least how to access it. To shut some of the defense of the station, you have to go at the bottom. A security override is there. But before you do that, you're gonna pick up the yellow keycard, and you're gonna meet it. Yep, Plague Hive is as vicious as he is disgusting. This guy along with the plant boss are probably the toughest guy you'll meet so far. He also got 3 forms, and the more you attack, the more trouble you're in. These little worms are a pain in the butt. At the bottom of the station, you have to go through 4 rooms with different Hazards to activate 4 computers in order to have access to the override. Alpha, Beta, Omega, and Gamma. Once that is done, you're greeted by the security overmind. I mean, it would have been too easy just to have to pull a lever, right? This boss is interesting. At this point, you pretty much have all the upgrades, including the supercharger, which is probably the best one in the game. But you can't damage this guy, you actually need to wait and avoid his attack while he slowly damages itself. And now it is time. We can finally end this. Near the beginning of the game, the AI mainframe is finally accessible. You see the eye watching you one last time, and there it is. The virus, in a last attempt to bring you down, sent the shell unit, which is composed of 2 parts. The first one is pretty cool, looks like a neon version of the Frankenstein monster, and the other is a sentient toaster with big swords. Once you get these 2 out of the way, the virus downloads you and you face it in his realm. At first, you have to damage both of his ends. Once that is done, platforms will appear so you can have access to his head. A bit like the security override, if you have the supercharger on, this fight is actually harder. Every time you shoot it, a barrier will appear in order to avoid the player spamming the attack, and get his health bar going down in an instant. Even after all of this, the virus managed to have the upper hand. It will continue to spread endlessly until everything is consumed. The credits roll and, well, that's the end of the game. I might not have been completely honest with you. If the game had ended up here, it would have been fine, really. I would have said, well, that was a pretty good little Metroidvania, I enjoyed it, good design, good story, awesome music and clever bosses. But it wouldn't have been worth making a video about it. Let me tell you a story. It's not the first time that we have this conversation. Well, maybe for you, but not for me. And especially not for my neighbors, wondering why the fuck is this guy talking alone all the time. But the truth is that I have no idea what I'm doing here. I'm not a game reviewer, I mean you probably know this. I lack the brain to do in-depth video game analysis, and I'm not funny enough to be the wacky type. I'm just a dude with a mic and too much time on his hands. At first, I didn't even want to do a review kind of thing. I just didn't know how to approach the game in any other way. So I just did like everybody else. I mean, what were you expecting? I had a script of 8,000 words that I didn't record before that, where I was going through everything in details, and this shit was so boring, even I couldn't sit through it. But this game is really special to me, and I want to talk about it. I need to. Like I said, if the game had ended up here, I would have been cool, really. But what happened after though turned that game from good to one of the best video game experience I ever had, and which I will always remember fondly. And even at this point, I sincerely believe that this game has enough to offer you to be well worth the small price it is asking. That's why I will give you a second spoiler warning. If you made it this far into the video and you never played ESA, you might want to stop and pick it up yourself, because the best is yet to come. You see, this game is like an iceberg. You got the game, and well, the post-game. I decided in the first part to withhold some things and information you may see on a regular playthrough, like computers written in a weird language or cryptic clues from terminals. And a side note here, everyone playing this game will have a different experience in regards on what they will discover and in which order. So I tried for the narrative to make it as fluid and comprehensive as possible. And if you never played it, here's a quick rundown of some items I'm gonna use or mention in this second half. The propeller, you get that in the underwater sector. It helps you navigate in the water. The yellow key card, you get it in the derelict ship. Give you access to a bunch of areas in the game. The supercharger does what you imagine, turns every shot into a charged one. It's super useful. The plasma shield, which is more for offense than defense. It damages enemies touching it, it's really good against bosses. And finally, the Dash X booster is the reward for finding all the floppies, and it's the last upgrade for the dashes. When you equip it, your little robot can dash in 4 directions as much as you want. Now that's out of the way, let's go back into the story. If you load your file after you defeated the virus, some things have changed on the station. Exploring a bit, you'll meet 4 creatures speaking in a strange language. One of them is an eagle, is the only one who speaks English, and this is what he have to say. We are the secret creatures of this station. There's only 4 of us. The other cannot understand your language. There's a key to understanding them though. Learn their language well. Then he proceeds saying a sentence in the alien language. This is it. This is the key. If you take the last 2 sentences, you can see they're one and the same. This guy is actually a Rosetta Stone, and with it, you now have a starting point to decipher all alien symbols you come across. In the game, there's 26 different symbols, corresponding to the 26 letters of the alphabet. The sentence, learn their language well, give us 11 of these symbols. You can decipher the rest by filling blanks with the other creatures and terminals. At this point, I was hooked. I wanted to uncover every secret that the station had to offer. And now, no more objective highlight on the map. There's a clear cut between the 2 sections of the game. We often hear, back when I was a kid, you had to play games with a pen and paper. Well, this is one of these games. At the end, I had more notes and doodles than a guy knee-deep in conspiracy theories. Even if putting the alphabets together piece by piece was really fun, we can't really do that here, so at this point we'll assume that that work is done and we'll get back to the creatures later. In the volcanic sector, you can find a terminal which is saying, "There are the sun, the moon and the stars. Gaze at the one that is not like the others. Gaze without hurry, without moving." That flipping computer, I read it pretty early in my playthrough, right after I beat the plant boss, and it caused me so many headaches. It's pretty self-explanatory, right? Stare at something and don't move. So for the whole game, every time I saw a planet in the background or what I thought could be a star or anything, I just stood there, waiting. How long do we have to wait? I don't know. Let's say like 10 minutes to see if anything happened. You sure you're at the right place? I mean, look at this. This must be what the terminal was talking about, right? Right? In the underwater sector, there are some yellow blocks near where you get a propeller upgrade. Equipped with a triple shot, you can enter this room. Jesus, did I feel stupid when I get in there. But yeah, you go in the middle, wait a few seconds, and poof. After getting through the room, you stumble against the dash maze, which is probably the biggest challenge the game will present to you in terms of platforming. Now with the X dash and N, we can make it through. It is possible to do without it, but for your own sanity, I would advise you not to do so. If you touch the little orange tentacles, you'll die. I don't know how long it took me, but let's just say I was quite relieved once I make it through. And don't make the same mistake I did. These blue blocks takes you back at the beginning. Once this section is complete, we find a new golden teleporter and a computer. If the pillars are active, they will be lured in. But their true residence is under the sand, to which the road is blue. Prove yourself. Remember that, we'll get to it later. The teleporter brings us to the surface. If you go to the left, you'll see some pillars. That is our next goal. You need to activate them, finding 4 hidden rooms in the map. The only dialogue pointed that in the game is in a hidden room as well, with a little guy fishing. If you go to the right though, you'll get an ending. Wait, what? We already seen the virus ending, which is the one most of the players will get on their first playthrough, but there's many others. This one is called the surface ending, or the sacrifice ending, doesn't really matter. In this one, our little robot, instead of going back to the team that sent him, decided to stay on the station, so the virus can't spread and harm anyone else. For now at least. Now we have our goal, find and unlock these 4 pillars. Some of them are well hidden and some are more obvious. I love the design of these rooms, by the way. Every time I found one, I felt like uncovering some great secret. You might find some before knowing what they are about, and that just adds to the mystery surrounding the station. Now we can go back to the teleporter to see what this thing is all about. And we meet him. His name, written in the alien language, translates to Muya. This guy is tough. In order to activate each fight sequence, you need to deal a certain amount of damage when he is shooting. If you fail to do so, he will teleport around the room. The supercharger is a must for this fight. Then, in each sequence, you need to dash around the room, avoiding lasers and saws. A timer in the middle indicates when he will next appear. Once the fight is over, the game brings you to this room. A key is waiting. Once grabbed, it said, "You now take 1 step." A terminal is also here. Muya resides at the ruins, but only answers to the 3 artifact. Head right of the watery arena, the road is blue. And quickly after, you hear the sound of an earthquake. Sound like something has broken down somewhere. That sound is from the lower part of the underwater sector. You now have access to the block area near the propeller. A quick puzzle awaits you and a log from a scientist. The story is that some members are doing experiment in another location, the research outpost. Seeing the carnage happening on the station, they decide to seal off the entrance and wait for the situation to calm down. The person who wrote the log got stuck outside, but give you the information on how to access the area. If you go back to the arena where you fought the serpent, there's a hidden room on the right, with yet another golden teleporter. You are now in the research outpost. The postgame so far has been more about finding clues and secrets than challenging us. With all the abilities in hand, the enemies in the station don't pose much of a threat. But like the fight we had with the security system or the virus, the game cleverly integrates in the story handicaps to the player, so the game stays challenging and interesting. Here, some enemies react violently to strong bursts of energy, which means that if you use your dash or charge attack while they are on screen, you'll be punished. So you're back dealing with your old hook and gun. I think it's brilliant. First here, you need to lift the lockdown that was placed in order to have access to the whole area. The group also talks about strange artifacts they're studying for their research. Once that's done, you might see an empty room with 3 handles. You need to recover 3 orbs and place them there. 2 are fairly straightforward. Enemies and traps are blocking the way. It's challenging, yes, but not complicated. The last one is a bit more complex. Pushing a button, 2 numbers appear on the screen, 21-3, and there's a timer under it. These are coordinates. If you click on the map in the menu, you can see those in the top left. I personally didn't realize it until that point and spent way more time than I would like to admit on this. Following the instruction, we make our way back to the temple. There is a fake wall and a ghost that wasn't there previously. Shoot it and you get the last orb. Once the 3 orbs are in place, you wake him, the restless spirit. This fight is pretty hard. First off, if you have the supercharger equipped, the game turns it off. For his attack, he either summons balls or pillars of energy, while walking back and forth. He can also spawn enemies in the room. I think it's the only boss that instead of really learning his patterns, I just kind of cheese it and relied on good RNG. What you discover in here is that strangely this place and the temple and the station share some writing and mythology, even if they are light years apart. An hypothesis is brought that the orbs may be a transmitter of some sort. Think about it like the monolith in the Space Odyssey. For which purpose, the scientists still have no clue, but a certain name appears often, Moya. Okay, so what was the point of all of this? Well, in fact, this part was not in the original game. Hempuli added it later on as a free update. It adds other things to the game, but we'll get back to it later. Now, remember the creatures? Well, let's see what they have to say. After translating all of their dialogues, you discover that they're giving you hints on how to find 3 different keys. There's 4 of those in the game, but we already got one after defeating Muya. The location of the second key. 3 blue circles floating over safety, left of a fiery challenge, headed quickly right past the visible doorway. To find this one, it's not really hard. The fiery challenge mentioned is the section where you get the Dash X booster. And the 3 blue circles floating are obvious once you find them. The last hint though, not so much. What you have to do is to dash through the door on the right. Sounds fine in idea, but in practice it's a little bit tricky. And the first few times you probably just trigger the screen transition instead. A player might fail at first and go look somewhere else. It's a small nitpick, but I thought it was worth mentioning. On the other end though, when you figure it out, it's a really good surprise, and the place it brings you is awesome. The key is well protected, to say the least, and the face with the drops of blood coming from its eyes really struck me. At this point, I felt for the first time that I was meddling with things that had maybe better left alone. The location of the third key. A small piece of higher ground right from a large body of water, left of a yellow corridor, went on top of the higher ground to get through. So this is a bit simpler. The large body of water is at the beginning, and the yellow corridor is referring to the tiles of this section. Wait at the top of the hill and poof. Now we can go down a long drop and get the key. The location of the fourth key. A long dark corridor housing 3 shy monsters. Climb the second lit pillar. This refers to the 3 aliens floating away from you in a temple. The connection is fairly easy to make, and the pillar thingy as well. This time you fight a bunch of spiders hidden in the dark, and there you go. As to what to do with the keys, you gotta bring them here. It's a teleporter on the upper right of the temple. I believe most of the players will find this place while trying to fill the blank spot on the map or while looking for something else. You enter the teleporter, now that we found all 4 keys, let's see what the game have in store for us. Sweet, another barrier. But don't worry, you don't have to go collect anything to pass this one. If you try to go through, you just die in a flash. Looking on the wall, there's some sort of shapes there, but it's not part of the alien alphabets. What could it be? The answer is simple, but can easily be missed. The shapes represent 3 of the abilities you acquire. You need to unequip the rest and only keep these 3. Once you pass the barrier, there are 3 rooms. One is a save point, the other is a block path with a bunch of pillars with eyes, and the last one is more intriguing, a pitch black room with a massive clock in it. If you go further, you'll end up in an endless corridor with that thing. Lovely, isn't it? If you touch it, you die, by the way. Going back to the clock section, you may discover that meddling with your items change the time on it. This is how it works. If you have more than one item, the game brings you to the hallway I showed you. If you only have one equipped though, it will bring you to this room. I really love the recurrent design of the eye through the game. It really gives you the intense feeling that some bigger entity is watching you, judging every move you make. At first, it's the virus that is doing it, but now it's something else. The computer gives you a hint. There's 13 of those. Yep, you heard me right, 13. Once again, I'm sorry, but we'll get back to those later. If you only equip the shield, the next room will be the maze. The entry is blocked, sweet, but we have the instruction to open it. Only the knowledgeable one may proceed. Head to the stand and enter the code. The stand the game is referring to is that room, located in the volcanic sector. I don't think it is pointed anywhere else in the game, but once again, you'll probably find it by looking for something else. 2 terminals are sitting there. The first one written by a member of the station saying, "I have the keys, the gates, but what is the code?" All I know is that it's 4 letters that should be typed on that weird stand here. The other is in the alien language and it says, "The code may be found on the very walls and relief of the realm, in the artwork, in the sandstone, in the temple, and in the submerged forgotten room." Putting all of this together, we get 4 letters, MWYA. No H, which is kind of weird, but anyway. Entering them on the stand, you hear a blip noise. The maze is now open. This place is creepy. You really feel that you're getting closer and closer to the truth, whatever it is. Giant aliens, eye-shaped monsters follow you, but they're pretty much harmless. You can also see various faces on the walls. Some are in a state of decay or melting, others seem traumatized and afraid. The maze is not that big, but you can easily get lost. You'll probably say, well, no shit Sherlock, it's a maze, but since you don't really know what you're looking for, you can spend quite some time here. In the end, the only thing we want is the hint from that terminal. Write the 3 initials of the name at the toll spot. The initials are, you guessed it, ESA, the name of the game, and the toll spots are the 13 hints we talk about. Each sign, that's what they call it, open one of the eye pillar. Let's get those out of the way. The first sign is at the center of a submerged area. The second sign stands in front of a creature long forgotten. The third sign is on metal, at the first steps on the road one can never complete. The fourth sign is on a ledge over water, under a glass dome. The fifth sign is hidden away, above a vertical tower. The sixth sign is on a mass of sand on a plant under a siege. The seventh sign is at the bottom of the world. The ninth sign is nearby a pointed pillar next to almost certain death. The 10th sign is at the circular window to the vastness of space. The 11th sign is on the spot of what was stolen. The 12th sign is where Eagle there. That one is in a overhang above advice to be patient. And the final sign is at ancient ruins covered by glass. Okay, well, that was something. Now, before we head back to the maze, I want to do a quick detour. Remember the updated content of the research outpost? Well, we still have something to do. Near the underwater sector, there's a false wall we can break. We now enter the chamber of Muya, and we're greeted by this. After everything I went through, I really didn't think the game could surprise me at this point. But this is easily one of the strongest moments in the game. The sprite of this monstrosity straight from a Lovecraft novel is simply gorgeous, and the opening had me speechless. The fight itself, it's fucking hard. First, of course, the game starts you with an handicap. No supercharger, shield, or dash booster X for this one. Muya has 3 distinct forms for this fight, one for each orbs you collect in the outpost. The first one has 5 different attacks. It can spawn tentacles that would shoot lasers at you, eviscerate you with his nail from the floor, summon a giant spiky worms, shoot a myriad of eye-shaped projectiles, or do that thing. Each attack is represented by a skull of different color. For the second form, you need to jump from platform to platform, using your dash and hook. It will try to crush you with its hands, and pillars of smoke will damage you and push you away. In the third and last form, Mia shoots circles from his eyes while you're trying to avoid his attack. He also makes you invisible, which is really confusing. And once defeated, Muya have a final thing to say to you. That fight, the first time I did it, took me more than an hour and a half. I really felt like I overcome an obstacle, and I really felt relief once it was over, which made the following message really heartwarming. I was just standing here in the darkness when suddenly a strange sort of warmth struck me. I feel really proud of someone or something. Perhaps something weird has happened. After all this, maybe I should return home. I think the message from the dev to the player here was perfect. When you're playing an indie game, basically made by one person, there's a proximity I don't think you can get with major AAA titles. Anyway, enough babbling, let's get back to the maze. So now, the 13 pillars are open. A button is on the other side. Once pushed, our good friend Mr. Melting Skull will chase us. So well, what to do now? In the maze, you can get to the end by following the direction of 2 simple puzzles and get to this terminal. The ghost rests at the smiling face and returns here. The smiling face that room is referring to is straight at the beginning. If you play the game, you probably did like me and went back to it like a dozen times because it's so out of place. So we bring our friend here and let the magic happen. Killing the ghost destroyed the wall that was on the right. You're now ready to uncover the truth? The culmination of everything you've done lays at the end of that path. You're now ready to meet the council. Frankly, I have no idea what happened there, and I have no intention in trying. This is called the Alien ending. Another ending is called the Usurper. After the fight with Muya Trueform, you can actually quit the planet. I didn't want to show it earlier and spoiling the design of the aliens. And well, finally, there you go. This was Environmental Station Alpha. You've done it. You turned every stones, discover every secrets that this game had to offer. When I popped this game for the first time, I had no idea what I was in for. Some people hint me that there was more to come, but I would have never imagined that. And I'm not just talking about the amount, but also the quality of the content done here. I feel privileged that I was able to experience this game. It's not perfect, I mean nothing is, but I'm sure plenty of people more qualified than I am can take a look at this game with a more critical approach. But yeah, this game will always remain truly special to me, and I just wanted to share a bit of love and the passion I have for it. Look for the secret map? Really? Okay, I lied. We still have one more thing to do. But before that, I want to do a quick lightning round about some Easter eggs that are pretty much useless, but I think are worth mentioning. First, in the derelict ship, there is a hidden ability you can get. You can find the bike. We have this guy wishing you a happy birthday. You can also see this room here. A guy at the top of the derelict ship saying, "Biz, biz, biz, I'm a bee." This computer changing channel, it actually gave you 1% for shooting it. And in the volcanic sector, there's a boss rush you can do. I never completed before and finally did it. Was it worth? You tell me. Okay, now the last thing we have to do is to find the crown. It is the very last secret the station holds. The secret map mentioned in the credit is that. It indicates you where the secret and Easter eggs are in the game. It's a secret map for secrets if you want. The one we are interested in is in this sector, at 25-24. Now we are in the crown room. On the wall, there is a map on how to get to our goal. And a terminal with alien language is presented to you in a square shape. Once deciphered, it said, type this word at a point told at 100. The word to type is crown, and the map shows us the way. But the answer on where to start though is somewhere else. If you go back to the maze, you've seen the number 100. But now, something is different. Start at the blue cross. Okay, now we know, but where is that blue cross? The blue cross is in one of the first rooms you go in the game. It's obvious when you find it, but yeah, I can see people looking quite a while for it. You follow the map, and it brings you back to the secret place where we found one of the keys. You type the word and poof, there it is. Magnificent. The game congratulates you and tells you that you've done everything. But if you choose so, ESA has one last gift for you. The next room is a bit, well, peculiar. Welcome to the land of friendship, also called the glitch room. After you get out of this room, the game is now in a glitching state. Some tiles will be missing, popping in and out, and so on. The last thing we need to do is to fight the virus one last time. Once that is done, you go to your spaceship, again, and leave the station for good this time. No aliens, no virus, no nothing. After all of this, you can finally get the good ending, and have some closure.